Consumer Reports just published its newest reliability and ownership data for 2026, and a handful of SUVs stand out for one reason that the salesman on the lot will never bring up. These are the SUVs that are still worth owning years from now, long after the new car smell is gone and the financing is paid off. And here is the twist. The brands you would expect to run away with a reliability list, the German luxury badges with the big reputations, are not the ones sitting at the top. The SUVs that actually hold up and hold their value mostly wear Toyota, Honda, Subaru, and Lexus badges. And the SUV sitting at number 1 on this countdown is not the flashiest, and it isn't even the most reliable on paper. It's the one that quietly costs the least to own over a decade, and most luxury shoppers walk right past it on the lot. Two things before we start counting down, and both of them matter. First, the data points to one mistake that most buyers make, and it has almost nothing to do with the car itself. It has everything to do with how they buy it, and it can quietly cost them thousands of dollars by the time the odometer crosses 50,000 miles. I'm going to show you exactly what that mistake is. Second, there's a single pattern hidden inside all 6 of these SUVs that explains why some of them sail past 200,000 miles, while others are sitting in a repair bay at 60,000. Stick around to the end, because once you can see the pattern, you won't shop for an SUV the same way again. If you want more breakdowns built on real numbers instead of dealer talking points, take a second and subscribe. This channel exists to help you dodge the bad purchase, not talk you into one. Now, one honest note on the scoring before anyone in the comments gets the wrong idea, because this is exactly the kind of thing that gets faked all over this corner of the internet. Consumer Reports does not hand out a single near-perfect grade out of 100. What it actually publishes is an overall score that blends 4 separate things together. It looks at how the vehicle performs across more than 50 road tests. It factors in how its members predict it will be reliable. It weighs how satisfied current owners are, and it folds in how the vehicle does in crash testing. Predicted reliability is its own separate measure on top of all that. So anytime you hear somebody quote one tidy reliability number sitting in the 90s, be skeptical, because that number is usually made up. I'm going to give you the real picture for each of these 6, and where Consumer Reports is predicting reliability rather than measuring a long track record, I'm going to say so out loud. Let's get into it. Number 6. Subaru Outback Wilderness. Starting the countdown at number 6 is the Subaru Outback Wilderness, and there's something important you need to know right away, because most videos covering this car will not tell you. The 2026 Outback is not a carryover. It's an all-new design. Subaru took the Outback, which spent 30 years as a lifted wagon, and turned it into a genuine SUV with a squared-off roof, a taller stance, and more cargo room and headroom than before. According to Consumer Reports, this is a redesign done right. But here's the honest part. Because it's brand new, Consumer Reports is predicting reliability rather than reporting a long track record, and its current prediction is roughly average compared to other new cars, based on Subaru's history and the outgoing generation. So treat the long-term durability as an educated forecast, not a proven fact yet. What is not a forecast is Subaru's overall reputation. Subaru was named Consumer Reports' best overall automotive brand, and that's not a small thing in a field that includes Toyota and Honda. And the Outback nameplate has one of the strongest staying power records in the business. Subaru reports that 96% of Outbacks sold in the last 10 years are still on the road today, which is a higher figure than the Toyota RAV4, the Honda CR-V, or the Toyota 4Runner can claim. Now let me deal with the elephant in the room, because somebody's already typing it in the comments. Yes, Subaru engines used to be notorious for head gasket failures, but that reputation comes from the early 2000s, from a completely different family of engines than what Subaru builds today. The current 4 cylinders are a different design. I'll be straight with you though, Subaru's flat engines do tend to ask for a little more maintenance than some of their rivals over the long haul, and that's something a smart buyer should budget for. The wilderness trim is the one built for people who actually leave the pavement. It rides on 9.5 inches of ground clearance. It gets a turbocharged 2.4-liter engine making 260 horsepower, and it comes with standard symmetrical all-wheel drive and upgraded off-road hardware. One detail I genuinely appreciate, and Consumer Reports flagged it too, with this redesign, Subaru brought back real physical buttons and knobs instead of burying everything in a touchscreen. Fewer menus to dig through means fewer distractions and fewer things to break. If your last car had a touchscreen that froze on a cold morning, you already understand why that matters. Number 5. Lexus NX 350h. At number 5 is the Lexus NX 350h, and this one is interesting because it makes a case for buying the sensible version instead of the fast one. The current NX is the generation Lexus introduced for 2026's lineup as an evolution of its 2022 redesign. So, unlike the Subaru we just covered, this one has a few years of real-world running behind it. And the brand underneath it matters. Lexus sits at the very top of reliability rankings year after year, and that is earned, not advertised. Here is where I have to correct something you will see repeated all over the place. People love to claim the hybrid NX is quicker than the gas version. It is not. According to Consumer Reports' own testing, the gas-powered NX 350 with its turbocharged engine is actually the quicker of the two. The hybrid gets to 60 miles per hour in a little over 7 seconds, which is perfectly fine, but speed is not why you buy it. You buy the hybrid for 2 reasons. The first is fuel economy. Consumer Reports measured about 38 miles per gallon overall, and the EPA rates it as high as 40 miles per gallon combined, which makes it a fuel economy leader among small luxury SUVs. The second reason is smoothness. The hybrid glides away from a stop on electric power, and it sidesteps the slightly clunky shifts of the gas version's transmission. And the hybrid system itself is the real story, not the marketing fluff you sometimes hear about exotic engineering. The truth is more reassuring than the fiction. The NX 350h uses the same proven Toyota and Lexus hybrid hardware that powers the Toyota RAV4 hybrid, technology that has been refined over many years and put into millions of vehicles. That is exactly what you want under a luxury SUV, parts with a long history of not failing. Now, in the interest of being honest with you, the NX is not flawless. Consumer Reports points out that the cabin, while beautifully finished, is narrow, and rear visibility is hampered by thick pillars and small windows. The reviewers also aren't fans of the electronic interior door releases or the gear selector. None of that is a deal breaker, but you should know it before you sign. Number 4. Toyota Highlander Hybrid. Coming in at number 4 is the Toyota Highlander Hybrid, and if you need 3 rows and you actually care about fuel bills, this is one of the strongest arguments on the lot. 3-row SUVs have a reputation for drinking fuel, so the headline number here is genuinely impressive. Consumer Reports measured 35 miles per gallon overall on the Highlander Hybrid, and they called it, in plain terms, far and away the best fuel economy of any 3-row SUV they've tested. For a family hauler this size, that's remarkable. It seats your whole crew, too, with both 7-passenger and 8-passenger configurations available, depending on whether you want captain's chairs or a bench in the middle row. I do owe you one correction that a lot of channels get wrong, though. You'll hear people claim this thing tows 5,000 pounds. The hybrid does not. The Highlander Hybrid is rated to tow about 3,500 pounds. The gas-powered V6 Highlander, which is a different drivetrain. If towing a heavy trailer is your priority, that distinction matters, so do not let anyone sell you the hybrid on a number it cannot deliver. On reliability, the Highlander Hybrid is on firmer ground than the brand new redesigns we've talked about. The current generation has been on the road since 2020. It's built a solid record, and it runs Toyota's proven 4-cylinder hybrid system, the same family of technology Toyota has scaled across its entire lineup. I'll give you the honest caveats as well. The third row seat is tight, and it's really best for kids, not adults on a long trip. And Consumer Reports was not impressed that the newer infotainment system is no easier to use than the one it replaced. There's also a minor recall on some recent Toyotas, including the Grand Highlander Hybrid, over an inaccurate weight capacity label, which is a paperwork fix at the dealer rather than a mechanical problem. But I'm mentioning it because checking the recall history is exactly what a careful buyer should do. Where the Highlander shines for the long-term owner is resale. According to AWDCars, the Highlander holds roughly 64% of its value after 5 years, comfortably above the industry average, which sits closer to 58%. Number 3, Honda CR-V Hybrid. At number 3, we have the Honda CR-V Hybrid, and this is the quiet, sensible choice that just keeps working. Nothing flashy, nothing dramatic, just a well-built, compact SUV wrapped around a hybrid system Honda has been refining for more than a decade. Consumer Reports calls the CR-V Hybrid one of the best small SUVs you can buy, and the numbers back up the praise. Start with the powertrain because it is the heart of the appeal. The two-motor hybrid makes 204 horsepower, and it is both quicker and smoother than the regular gas CR-V. It glides on electric power at low speeds, and the continuously variable transmission stays out of your way in normal driving instead of droning like the cheap units you may remember. On fuel economy, let me give you the real figure rather than the inflated one. Consumer Reports measured about 35 miles per gallon overall, with city driving climbing into the low 40s. That is excellent for the class, and it pays the car off at the pump long before the warranty runs out. The current CR-V was redesigned for 2023, so it has a few years of real-world data behind it, and Consumer Reports expects it to be more reliable than the average new car. Now here's where I keep it honest, because this matters for your wallet. The CR-V is not perfect, and pretending it is would be doing you a disservice. Consumer Reports notes that the cabin is fairly plain with some fit and finish complaints, like panel gaps and a plasticky steering wheel, and owner satisfaction lands only at average, partly because owners feel the value is a little thin for the price. A few owners have also reported minor electronic glitches with the phone connection. None of that touches the core mechanical durability, which is the CR-V's real strength, but you deserve the full picture. And on the financial side, the CR-V is a standout. AWDCars data shows it retaining about 71% of its value after 5 years, and independent mechanics regularly single it out as one of the cheapest SUVs to keep running past 150,000 miles. Number 2. Toyota RAV4 Hybrid. Number 2 is the Toyota RAV4 Hybrid, and this one comes with a big asterisk that almost nobody is putting on screen, so let me be the one to do it. The 2026 RAV4 is completely redesigned. It's an all-new 6th generation, and for the first time, every single RAV4 is now a hybrid or a plug-in hybrid. There's no plain gas engine in the lineup anymore. So if you've heard somebody say this exact car has years of flawless service behind it with no failures, that is not accurate because this version is brand new. The new hybrid is also more powerful than before, making 226 horsepower in front-wheel drive and 236 horsepower with all-wheel drive, so the drivetrain is not a simple carryover either. What you can lean on is the prediction and the pedigree. Consumer Reports expects the new RAV4 Hybrid to be more reliable than the average new car, and it says so explicitly on the basis of Toyota's brand history and the proven previous generation that ran from 2019 through 2025. That outgoing RAV4 Hybrid is the one that built the bulletproof reputation, and Toyota deliberately took a conservative, low-risk approach with this redesign rather than reinventing everything, which is good news for reliability. On fuel economy, the RAV4 Hybrid that Consumer Reports bought for testing carries an EPA rating of 41 miles per gallon combined, and the previous generation returned a genuine 37 miles per gallon in their hands. So real-world economy in the high 30s to around 40 is a reasonable expectation. And then there's the resale, which is frankly the best part of the whole story. According to AWDCars, the RAV4 Hybrid holds about 75% of its value after 5 years. That's the strongest resale figure of any compact SUV on the road, and it sits more than 15 percentage points above the average for hybrid SUVs. In plain English, owners who bought one a few years ago often find their trade-in offer shockingly close to what they paid. I'll give you the fair criticism, too, because this is not a cheerleading channel. Consumer Reports notes that the back seat is a little tighter than some newly redesigned rivals, and that the conservative redesign means it doesn't feel dramatically newer than the car it replaced. But for the buyer who plans to keep a vehicle for 10 years and cares about what it's worth at the end, the math here is hard to argue with. And that brings us to number 1. The Acura MDX. And I promised you at the top that the SUV in this spot would not be the flashiest or the most reliable on paper. I'm going to keep that promise because this is where being honest with you actually makes the recommendation stronger, not weaker. Let me start with the thing other channels will lie to you about. The MDX is not a reliability miracle, and anyone who slaps a near-perfect reliability number on it is making that up. Consumer Reports predicts the 2026 MDX will have about average reliability, and U.S. News pegs its predicted reliability at 77 out of 100, which lands squarely in average territory. By the data, the MDX is actually the least reliable of the 6 SUVs on this list. It's also the only one here that's not a hybrid, and its fuel economy is mediocre at around 20 to 21 miles per gallon. So on Earth is it number 1? Because reliability is only one piece of what a vehicle costs you, and on the full picture of long-term ownership, the MDX does something none of its luxury rivals can match. It's one of the cheapest luxury 3-row SUVs to actually live with. Here's the evidence. RepairPal scores the MDX 4 out of 5 for reliability and puts its average annual repair cost around $501, which is among the lowest in the entire luxury class, ranking it second out of 14 mid-size luxury SUVs. Acura, as a brand, ranks 5th in Consumer Reports' reliability standings, ahead of most of the German badges. And the MDX undercuts rivals like the BMW X5, the Mercedes GLE, and the Volvo XC90 on sticker price, while delivering a smooth 290-horsepower V6, a high-quality interior, strong handling, and a comprehensive suite of standard safety gear that earned it a 5-star federal rating and a top safety pick from the Insurance Institute. Now, I have to fix one more myth because it's everywhere. People claim Acura gave the MDX a special extended warranty as a confident flex. That's not true. The 6-year, 70,000-mile powertrain warranty is simply Acura's standard coverage across her whole lineup. It's genuinely better than what Audi or BMW offer, which is a real advantage, but it's not a special vote of confidence aimed at this one model. And in the interest of total honesty, 2 more things. The 3rd row is snug and really best for children, not the spacious adult lounge some reviews pretend it is. And some 2026 owners have reported a firm or inconsistent brake pedal feel tied to the electronic brake booster, along with one minor safety recall. So test the brakes thoroughly on your drive and check the vehicle's recall status before you buy. The MDX earns the top spot not by being perfect, but by being the rare luxury SUV that doesn't punish you on the cost of ownership the way its badge-conscious rivals do. So now I want to hear from you. Which one of these 6 surprised you the most, and which one are you actually thinking about putting in your driveway? Drop it in the comments because I read them, and a lot of you have ownership stories the rest of us can learn from. If this breakdown helped you avoid a bad purchase, hit the like button so it reaches the next person trying to do the same. And subscribe because I dig into every major reliability and resale update the automakers would honestly rather you ignore.